Two Canadians have been imprisoned in China for 2 years. They are supposed to be spies. In truth, the People's Republic wants to extort a very prominent Chinese woman who is under house arrest in Vancouver. A Canadian named Michael Kovrig has been imprisoned in Beijing for 2 years. He is almost completely cut off from the outside world. When diplomats were allowed to contact him by video in October, he was surprised to hear that a pandemic had hit the world. The diplomats told his wife that. A second Canadian, Michael Kovrig, is imprisoned in the city of Dandong on the China-North Korean border. The world knows even less about his condition than about Kovrig's. His relatives have chosen not to speak to the press. Meanwhile, a Chinese woman named Meng Wanzhou is under house arrest in Vancouver, Canada. She has to wear an ankle cuff, but she can go shopping and attend concerts, and she also has taken part in a painting course. Compatriots demonstrate for her when she appears in court every 3 weeks. The fates of the former diplomat Kovrig, the entrepreneur Spaver, and the businesswoman Meng are connected. On December 1st, 2018, Meng was arrested at Vancouver airport from where she was going to travel to Mexico. The reason was an arrest warrant from the US judiciary. A federal court in New York accuses her of having undermined the trade embargo against Iran. Ms. Meng is the chief financial officer of the network equipment company Huawei and the daughter of its founder Ren Zhengfei. 10 days after Ms. Meng, this Thursday exactly 2 years ago, the two Canadians were arrested in China. Back then, Kovrig was in Beijing for the International Crisis Group think tank, while Spaver ran an agency that organized business trips from China to North Korea. As obvious as this connection is to international and behind the scenes, also to some Chinese observers, Beijing denies having taken the two Canadians hostage in order to free Meng. In June, 18 months after this arrest, Kovrig was charged with espionage and Spaver charges of espionage as well and the disclosure of state secrets. Beijing did not provide any further details or evidence. Espionage in China is punishable by up to life imprisonment. If Meng is extradited to the USA, she faces up to 30 years in prison. In fact, the case of the two Michaels, as it's called, as they are in Canada, for example, will probably not be decided by the judiciary but by politics. A week after his election victory, President-elect Joe Biden received a call from Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He congratulated Biden and asked about the fate of the two Canadians. "I am extremely confident that the new administration will be a good partner for Canada," he said later. "We want to convince China that the approach they are taking is just not working." Whether it was due to Biden's advocacy is unclear, but according to a report in the Wall Street Journal, there is now movement in the case. Meng Wanzhou lawyers appear to have contacted the US judiciary. A postponed criminal prosecution agreement is being discussed that could allow Meng to return to China if she was cooperative and admitted part of the guilt. So far, Meng has refused to make such a partial admission. She was not guilty of anything. Michael Kovrig and Michael Spaver are therefore likely to face many months of imprisonment. In November, Canada's ambassador to Beijing was allowed to speak to the two detainees in their detention centers for the first time since January, not in person, but again via video link. "They are resilient," the ambassador reported to a parliamentary committee on Tuesday. "You would be very impressed if you could see them." As reported by Canadian media, the two detainees are allowed to read letters from their relatives but not keep them. At the beginning of their prison term, they were often interrogated for hours. The light in their cell was around the clock. In the meantime, according to his wife, Kovrig keeps himself fit with training and reads books like Nelson Mandela's The Long Road to Freedom. Western diplomats are following the case with growing concern. If Ms. Meng had not traveled via Canada but to another country that has an extradition treaty with the United States, its citizens could be in Chinese custody today. And after 2 years of imprisonment for the two Michaels, who guarantees that Beijing will not use another diplomatic crisis to arrest foreigners who are in China? And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel, visit my other channels. I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.